Hello students, welcome to Silver Bells online teaching. Myself Nilofer Miss, your SS teacher. Today we are going to continue chapter 8, Framing of Constitution and its Features, part 2. In the previous video, lastly we have learnt about preamble. What is preamble and what is its importance, that we have learnt. Now in this part 2, we are going to learn about the pillars of preamble. We can say the foundation of preamble, that we are going to learn here. See now here the first point, the words inscribed in the preamble are. The words which are inscribed in the preamble, see now the first one, we, the people of India. It means we Indians, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, justice, liberty, fraternity and equality. These all words are used in preamble. In part 1 we have learnt the meanings of these all words. So here we will study the following 3 main pillars of the preamble. There are 3 main pillars of preamble. About that we will learn today. The question can be asked that which are the 3 main pillars of the preamble. So you must be knowing. So which are those 3 main pillars of preamble? See, the first name is given over here. First pillar of preamble is democracy. So here I am going to tell you about the 4 points related to democracy. See the first point. The ultimate sovereignty of power is with the people according to Indian Constitution. See here, ultimate sovereignty means the Indians, it means our India. There is no other person, no other country to rule over our country. So we are having our own powers. Nobody is there outside the country that can rule on us. We are taking our decisions ourselves. In India, there is not one single person who is having the power, but the power is in the hands of the people. According to Indian Constitution, all the Indians are having equal power. Same like that, next point, there is no particular regime of any one particular person, instead it is with the people. It means here not one single person who is ruling over in India or taking the decisions of India or is the responsible. No, one person is not the responsible. There isn't any one particular person, but all the people of India are equally responsible. They all are having equal powers. See now third point, democracy, the word. From where this word came? So it is derived from Greek word demos, means people, and kratos means power. It means demos, kratos. This was the word in Greek, and same word it is converted into modern English and it became democracy. So you have to remember that if it is asked that where is the democracy word derived from? So it is derived from Greek word demos means people and kratos means power. Next point, country's power is not within a group of people. Instead, it is within the people of the country. Here, country's power, there isn't one particular group who is looking after a whole country. No, it isn't like that. Each and every person of the country, all the citizens, it means within the people of the country, country's powers exist. See now in the 5th point, democratic state administration is such an arrangement in which there is equal justice for people to social, economical and political and having equal rights of participation. Our country is democratic. So democratic state, our management of the country is like that. The management, the work is done like that. So each and every person is getting equal justice. Maybe in the social, economical, see economical means in the way of the money, political also. So all these points, it means everywhere the people of India are getting equal justice and they are having equal rights of participation in each and everything. In democratic India, people elect their leaders. They are selecting the leaders by their own. So people elect their leaders, they are selecting by elections. So we can say that people elect their leaders through their choice by casting vote to represent those leaders in the parliament. They are giving vote to the person whom they are liking to be the leader. So those leaders in the parliament, and thereafter assuming the post of prime minister. Then the person would be prime minister. He can't be the prime minister by his own, but the people of the country are selecting that person by casting the votes. So the post of prime minister and his or her cabinet. Simply we can say that Indians are having the choice to select their own leader, their own representative. See the next point. Executives do not have absolute power. Now executives, those who are running the country, those who are managing the country, even those people, the managers of the country, the executives whom we are selecting, even they are not having full power. Absolute power means wholly power. They are not having wholly power. They can't do whatever they want to do, as they are given specific time limit. They are getting specific time limit for working. And I think you must be knowing that what is the time limit? It is of 5 years. Again after 5 years elections will be held. Next point. Similarly, the voters elect state and local level government. Even the state government and local level government are elected by the voters. People are selecting those people also. Here local level government means the panchayats. And that is the reason that hence democracy means by the people, for the people and of the people. Now cabinet. What is the cabinet? Cabinet consists members of parliament. All the members of parliament are in the cabinet. And cabinet of ministers is responsible to the parliament. It means whatever decisions are taken by the ministers, they have to answer the parliament. Okay? So they are responsible for each and every act of them. Whatever decisions they are taking over there, they have to talk in the parliament, and we can see that in the TV. Each house is having television, and they can see what's going on in the parliament, which question is raised and what are the solutions. We can directly see what happens in the parliament. Any citizen of India who possesses required constitutional eligibility can contest the election. It means any citizen of India, but the person should be eligible according to the constitution. There are some rules to stand for the election, to contest for the election. The age limit is there. Some other points are also there. So the person should be eligible. It means the citizenship of India. So the points which are written in the constitution, that if the person is eligible, then only the person can contest the election. So we can say that any citizen of India who possesses required constitutional eligibility can contest the election. Next point. Ministerial positions are not acquired hereditary. It means it isn't like that after the father, the son will sit on the post. No, it isn't like that in our country. Nothing is hereditary over here. Ministerial positions, after each 5 years, they have to hold election. People will select the person. Directly, the person can't sit on the post. If you want to be somebody at the ministerial post, you have to earn it by yourself. Next point, each elected government has 5 years of tenure. This is the time limit each government is having. Each elected government, they are on the post for 5 years. They are on the power for 5 years. And it isn't like that if the person is in the government, the person can do anything by himself. He can make his own rules. No, this government works under the principles of constitution. The constitution is main thing in our country. So even the government has to work according to the constitution, and therefore it is known as a responsible government. Our government has to answer us if something wrong has been done by them. So the government is responsible for each and every decision of it. If any minister has done something against the constitution, then he will be blamed for it and he has to give the answer. Next point, the democratic government is based on liberty, equality and feeling of fraternity. These words I already explained in the previous video. Liberty, equality and feeling of fraternity, and continuously work to achieve these goals. These goals are always kept in mind while working. These three words should not be harmed by them. As we talk about fraternity, the feeling of fraternity means India is my country and all the Indians are my brothers and sisters. So these feelings should be there. As that pledge is written, we can't make the change in that pledge. You have to work according to that. There won't be any issue related to these three things, liberty, equality and fraternity, and so that government is continuously working on it to achieve these goals. The Constitution disseminates the power to people to cast their vote according to their free will and thereby instills confidence in the Constitution. Now here government has to work something. What? That the person, the people in the India should have that much liberty to vote. They must select their person by themselves. They have to select their representative by free will. There won't be any kind of force to select any person. You can't force them. So it should be in the heart of the people. Whoever they like, they can select, they can elect, and they are having the power of vote for them. As this is the rule of our Constitution. And because of this rule, people of India are having confidence. They are having confidence that we will select our own leader. They are having that choice. Next point, the Constitution of Democratic India renders. Now here some points are given. See, fundamental rights, principles for political directions. Fundamental rights means our all basic rights which we are getting. Political directions here means we are using that word directive principles. It means what to do, what not to do in the political direction. Then comes Parliament. Member of Assembly, it means the people, the members of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Independent and impartial justice. How would be the justice for the people? It should be independent and impartial. There won't be any kind of partiality by giving the justice. And Election Commission, who holds the election, which is not taking side of any one party. Are those provisions, it means these all points are those provisions which make our country democratic in every means. So due to these all points which are in the Constitution, we can say that we are living in the democratic country. See now 20th point, adult suffrage. It can be asked that what is adult suffrage? So adult suffrage means the citizen above 18 years. The person in the India, the citizen of India, whether a girl or a boy, he should be above 18 years of age, can cast his or her vote to one's choice of leaders without discriminating caste, creed, religion, language, gender, education, income or birthplace. Whoever this person likes, he or she can cast the vote for the person. You can't discriminate the person. Discriminating based on caste, creed or religion, whether which religion you are following, language, which language you are speaking, gender, whether you are male or female, education or income or birthplace. On these basis you can't discriminate the person. But see now here, but it is essential, it is necessary that the citizens are enlisted in the electoral list. Now when these elections comes, no, so that time Election Commission is preparing one list. So in that list, name of that person should be there. Then only you can vote whether you are 18 plus or not. So here we are completing the first pillar of preamble. Now comes second pillar of preamble, that is socialist. See now here, this point is already discussed in the year 1976 by 42nd Indian Constitution Amendment. Amendment means here the changes which came in the Constitution in 1976. What happened? Constitution of India added one new word. Which was it? The word socialist. That India is the socialist country. So this word was added in the constitution. Most of the provision in the Constitution of India, directly or indirectly, show social revolution. Now social revolution means what? Our society should be developed. Our society should not be stopped anywhere, but there should be good changes in the society, which brought social and economic equality. The people, those who are living in the society, all should get equal economic equality and even social equality, and furthered the aim of welfare state. Everyone here in the state should be happy, should be well. That's why welfare state. This is the aim of it. Here we talked about three equalities. One is social, other one is economic, and third one is political. So the next point is, the principle of socialist pattern directs social, economic and political equality for citizens as given in the preamble. It is now regarded as a prime feature of the state. It reflects the fact that India is committed to secure social, economic and political justice for all its people. It means the person who is ruling, who is in the power in India, so that person must keep in mind, he should be or she should be at least that much committed that the people of India should be secure socially, economically and politically. And all must be equal in these 3 points, as this is the prime feature, the main feature of the state. India stands for abolishing all forms of exploitation as well as for securing equitable distribution of income, resources and wealth. So here, there won't be any kind of exploitation to any of the person. It means the bad behave to them. Like in animal, we can say that the behavior as a person can do with the animal, the same behave when the person do with the person, with other people, that is known as exploitation. Or maybe like for example, some of the workers are working in the field, and so there the same work they are doing, and the manager of the field, if that farmer, the manager of the field is giving the wages to those people, and he is not giving equal wages to everybody while their work is equal. So if he is giving more money to men and less money to women, so that is called exploitation to the women. So we can't do exploitation in our country. As for example, I am giving you 100 rupees and I am taking the work from you of 200 rupees, then that is also one kind of exploitation. If a person is in power and he is misusing the power, then that is called exploitation. If the person is knowing that other person is in need of the money and that time he is using that negative point of that person as his own positive point, so that is also one kind of exploitation. So India stands for abolishing all forms of exploitation and even to secure equitable distribution, the distribution of income, the distribution of resources and the distribution of wealth. Each and everything of this income, resources and wealth should be distributed among the citizens of India equally. Any one particular person should not have power over all assets. It means the minerals, the factories of our country we are getting. So on those assets, one particular person should not have power. Instead of that, everyone should have equal opportunity to getting facilities and provisions from society, and thereby eliminating the discrimination of rich and poor. Like if we talk about the lights, electricity, so every person should get the facility of electricity. Each and every person should get the facility of water, for food, for going from one place to another, for the tour, for visiting different places, for playing games, everything, all the facilities should be an opportunity for each person of the country. There won't be any kind of discrimination for rich or poor. And that is the reason, therefore, we can say that Constitution of India is a socialistic document, as it has kept our society, the people of the society, in the central. Now here is the third and the last third pillar of the preamble, that is secularism. In it, first point, in the year 1976, by 42nd Indian Constitution Amendment, the word secular was inserted. See, now this word was also inserted by 42nd Indian Constitution Amendment. The changes was made that time. This word secular was also added in it. India is a secular country. We have also taken this point in the previous video. Still, let me tell you, the secular country means there isn't one particular religion in our country. So many religions are there and people are free to follow any of the religion of their choice. So we can say that India is a secular country. There is not one particular national religion of the country. So India can never become one particular religious country as per the provisions of the Constitution. It is in our Constitution, there is this provision in the Constitution that India can never become one particular religious country. India does not follow any particular religion, so the country never promotes any religious activity. Next point, the country cannot involve any secular activity with religious activity. Here government can't join these two, secular activity with religious activity, or it can't take part in the religious activity. It can't show its role in the religious activity. The citizen of the country has the freedom to choose his or her religion, and the country cannot discriminate a citizen on religious basis. Whatever the religion is, but the person should get equal rights. Equal job opportunities and political rights to the citizens are given without any religious discrimination. While giving the job opportunities or while giving political rights to the citizens, this religious discrimination should not be held, but instead it should be according to the talent of the person. In this way, secularism is the basic foundation, the base of it, the base of the Constitution. So it is the basic foundation and mandatory, the main feature, very important feature of the Constitution. Sarva Dharma Samdrishti and Sarva Dharma Sambhav are the principles incorporated in the Constitution. Now here Sarva Dharma Samdrishti means we have to look any of the religion with the same eyes, equal eyes. Means all the religions should get equal importance. And Sarva Dharma Sambhav means all the religions, we should have good feeling for all the religions. We should have equality for all the religions. We have to respect all the religions as the principles incorporated in this is written in the Constitution. So no particular religion would be encouraged in any states. There is no prohibition on any citizen to propagate his or her religious belief, trust and faith. The people are connected to the belief related to the religions. There is a trust. Each person is having trust in his or her own religion and are having also faith. So there is no prohibition that the person should not have belief, trust and faith. No, it isn't like that. The citizen are free to have belief in their religion. They must have trust in the religion or the faith. It is on their choice. So here, after learning about these three pillars, we are completing here this video, this chapter. Hope you understood it well. If you are having any doubt, you may call me. And yes, you have to write the points of the chapter in the notebook. In part 3, we will see the further basic features of the Constitution. Okay. Till now, this much is enough, I think. And related to these points, pillars of the preamble, you have to complete the question answers of your textbook. Thank you. Have a nice day.